Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I am ranking the Free Comic Book Day books that I was gonna say bought, but I got. And, I had a great Free Comic Book Day. I did a signing at JHU Comic Books. Always fun to be at my local comic book store, but then also be on the other side as creator. And it was just fun to kind of see all the people passing by and getting graphic novels and spending money at their local comic book store, because that really is what Free Comic Book Day is all about. I got a couple more Free Comic Book Day books that I didn't get to read, so I got like Monsters and like Speed Racer, but I got the ones that I felt like were the bigger books, and then the ones I really wanted to read. So I'm ranking 7 books here, and number 7 is the topic of the video. No, actually it's not. It's portion of the topic of the video. It's Spider-Man. I'll say the topic of the video is actually in another book that has to do with Spider-Man. And, this is everything you know about Spider-Man. And if you've been enjoying what's been going on in Joe Kelly's run, you're going to continue to like this. If you're not, it's the same flavor. You got John Romita Jr. It doesn't really feel too much of a big moment for a Free Comic Book Day book. And then the flip side, I like the Miles stuff. I like the setup for the Ultimate Universe, but it also felt very similar type of setup we've gotten in previous Free Comic Book Day books and previous Ultimate Universe things that have been leading up to this kind of bigger event. So overall, this was a 2-star book for me, the one I wanted to enjoy the most as a Spider-Man fan, but ultimately enjoyed the least. So that's number 7 for me. Moving on to number 6, which is Power Rangers Prime issue 1. I'll say, as someone who doesn't know as much about the VR Troopers, I feel like I got a little less out of this, but I thought the Power Rangers part with this dog was pretty cute. It was a very cutesy story, which is why it's a little lower, just because I do feel like this issue focused a little bit more on the VR Troopers. Giving that one 3 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Thundercats Powerpuff Girls issue 1. So I didn't even know they were going to have a crossover for this. I don't know anything about Thundercats, which kind of took me out of this, but if you like both franchises a lot, I think it was a really nice little mishmash of characters. Very much more Powerpuff Girl centric, so also depending on how much of a fan you are of both franchises is how much you're going to get of it, but it was very similar to the Powerpuff Girls animation, and a good mixture of that 80s animation for Thundercats. Did it convince me as a non-Thundercats fan to get this book? Probably not. I think I'd just stick to Powerpuff Girls, but like I said, if you're a fan of both these franchises, I think you'll have a good enough time and feel like it's a palate cleanser. All right, moving on to number 4, which is DC All-In, the 2025 Special Edition. The part I probably like the most, and I'm not completely surprised by, is the Absolute stuff. I like the teases of them kind of all coming together, this dark side stuff that obviously they've been kind of building up to since that first Absolute All-In special they had about a year ago, so I enjoyed that aspect. The Superman stuff is always hard because I really love the current run of Superman. I just feel like it's a near perfect run, so to have any counterparts with it's hard, and that's what's difficult about having a whole nother Superman run that is in the same universe and kind of doing a similar thing, is that you're going to compare and contrast. And I do wish there was something a little different about this book compared to that regular flagship to make it really stand out, and I don't feel like this issue did that. It did just feel like your average Superman story, and I also thought some of the voices were a little off. Like, I didn't feel like Lois was as strong in this compared to the main series, but I like Raphael Albuquerque's art. I want to see how they're going to make it different, but right now I'm not really sure if we need 2 Superman titles. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 4. You're going to be surprised by this one, but number 3 is the Energon Universe, because I think it did exactly what it's here for. If you're a fan of this universe, you're a fan of Transformers and G.I. Joe, it gives you some teases. It has like a short story about, I think, Soundwave. Again, I don't know much about the Transformers, which is why I say I think. But then that first story, I feel like did a really good job at making you possibly maybe a fan of this universe and want to pick up more, which is what Free Comic Book Day is all about. Have a mixture for fans that are already fans for it and get people excited while trying to make it new reader friendly. So giving that one 3.5 stars just because, again, it achieved what I wanted. Moving on to number 2, and this is the topic of the video, and that is Fantastic Four Issue 1, also X-Men. Now, the reason this is so high, honestly, is not because of the Fantastic Four, or not really because of the X-Men, but it's because of that last story. I had so much fun with it. It's about this couple who are kind of fighting because one of the guys is a comic fan, and the wife slash girlfriend is like, I'm tired of you kind of taking over our lives with comics. They get thrown into the Marvel Universe. They understand each other's hobbies. They talk as they make jokes about the Marvel Universe, and the best part was the ending where Marvel more than winks and literally is listening to fans saying that they do not like Paul, and then this character's like, well, I'm gonna kill Paul. And I just thought that was so funny, and maybe even a little trolly about Marvel being like, well, we know you don't like Paul, we're still gonna use him. And I just thought that was really funny, and again, I kind of want to see these characters. It was like this really cool twist on Deadpool. It kind of had a Gwenpool feel as well because of it, so I enjoyed that enough to say, even though I didn't love the Fantastic Four and X-Men stuff, and more Miss Marvel X-Men stuff, I wish we just would see Miss Marvel outside the X-Men, and then the Fantastic Four just being kind of this one-off alien adventure that I didn't think did much for the franchise to sell it. That one story kind of made up for that. So I'm going to give that 3.5 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, I am wearing a basketball shirt, so you might already know I'm a basketball fan, and we got a Kareem graphic novel, which I like this a lot because it gives a sample of the graphic novel that you can eventually buy. I think it's going to be in September, and I liked it because it obviously, if you're a basketball fan, you're going to enjoy it, but it's about this kid who has to write a paper on Kareem, and he has to write a paper about not his basketball stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's a really cool twist to learn about this person outside of what he's known for, which is being a good basketball player. And I liked the art style. I liked how it was introduced to us, where I'm like, wow, now I didn't know this book existed, and I want to pick up this book when it eventually comes out. It's a good way to use Free Comic Book Day to sell your product. So giving that one 4 stars, and that is my number 1 pick. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite books were from Free Comic Book Day, your experiences, if you got any sales, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.